Hello gorgeous souls, welcome to my channel. I'm Kat, artist, founder of Create Magazine and Art Queens, and I'm so excited to share some thoughts with you today on what I do when I feel stuck, uninspired, or just feeling blah in my art or business. Today I decided not to go into the studio. Normally I try to get in Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but this week I'm just not feeling it. I have two big shows coming up that I have to create work for. However, I know it's so important to refill my cup. I'm a big fan of Julia Cameron. If you're familiar with her book, The Artist's Way, it's an amazing tool, and her premise is spending time with yourself, letting your thoughts out on paper, through what she calls the morning pages. So check that book out if you haven't. It's probably a staple in the self-development world for artists. But one of the things that Julia recommends to do is to have artist dates with yourself. An artist date can just be making something just for you, playing, doing something that you normally don't do in your practice, or taking yourself out to a movie or a museum or a garden. And today I kind of did three things. And I'll share what I did with you and why. I recently hired my former client, now coach, Kara, to help me brainstorm and get clarity on what I want to create for my show. I want the work to be deeply personal, and I also want to push my creative skills and what I've been doing with my paintings, and I want to just make the best experience. Stay tuned for details on that. But as we were talking yesterday during our coaching call, I had an idea and I saw vividly in my mind this artist that I'm a big fan of, Andrew Wyeth. One of the first dates that Sean and I went on was to the Brandywine River Art Museum, which is actually really close to where I live. So I decided to revisit that museum because it's one, a beautiful location on the Brandywine River, and two, because Andrew Wyeth's painting literally popped in my head as I was sharing and talking. So I thought, you know what? Today's not gonna be a studio day. Today's gonna be a day for me to replenish, get inspired, get ideas, and I did it. So I went to the Brandywine River Art Museum, shout out to them, they're amazing, and I picked up some books. I took some pictures of the paintings that really inspired me, and I'll show you this beautiful rendering of a dog by a window. It's not finished, but it's brilliant. So I have so much juicy stuff to study, to maybe do some master copies of, and really just figure out why Andrew Wyeth came to mind. For obvious reasons, I know why. There's a lot of interiors mixed with exteriors, and you hear Calibri. There's animals, there's a lot of texture, and his palette is really different from my palette, and I'm really drawn to it. So stay tuned to see how that works out. And being in the museum by myself, one, I had a lot of memories of going there with Sean, and two, I just had a lot of sort of connection with God and with myself, and just not having anyone to talk to can be a good thing, so that you're forced to face your thoughts. So if something's been bothering me or something I've been repressing has actually come up, and even though initially you might be like, ooh, I don't want to feel that, or I don't want to think about that, it's really good to process that. So for me, the biggest challenge is I am very prolific and I'm very productive, but sometimes I'm guilty of using work as a way to bypass emotions and important inner experiences that I have. So that's why for me today was so important to go, be with my thoughts, process them, acknowledge them, and then move on and turn them to gold, even if they aren't necessarily the happiest. So I had a great time at the museum, and on the way back I thought, well, why not stop by at this beautiful garden place called One of Their Gardens, right around like literally within 10 minutes drive from the place. And as I was driving there, I saw in the corner of my eye, it was a slow country road, one-lane road, I saw a beautiful sign that said peonies on it, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that word right. English is my second language, and even though you might not hear it, sometimes I mispronounce words, so just bear with me. So peonies are such a beautiful flower. And I saw a sign that said Peony Festival, and I was like, oh my goodness, I have to go. And I actually didn't go to the Peony Festival, but I ended up going to this cute little fruit and vegetable stand, and they had these gorgeous vases full of flowers, and I picked up a few, actually 2 bouquets to sketch, to get inspired, and to create from. So I am so excited, and I feel so like this beauty that these flowers bring through their scent, through their color, and through their texture is just exhilarating. And sometimes I think they're signs from our spirit guides, from God, when maybe we're feeling a little down or a little burnt out or a little worn down, and when you encounter a moment of just full expression of life, such as flowers, fruits, vegetables, it reminds you of the abundance, of the beauty, of the joy, and the overflow that still exists on our planet, even though it might be quite a contrast to some of the more tragic things going on in the world right now. So to me, it was a personal message from God, from the universe, to just take a moment to pause and appreciate the beauty that might be hiding on a back road or on a seemingly routine drive. So that was a magical moment and an already nice day because I got to see some artwork in person. And then I took a walk around the gardens, and this is a beautiful historic preservation and gardens and woods really close to me as well. And it just also made me realize how many other things around where I live I haven't yet explored. Feeling really stuck, and maybe going somewhere, having an external experience isn't really fixing the problem. There might be some deeper rooted things going on. So maybe it's self-doubt you're experiencing, maybe it's legitimate burnout and you just need a break from creating or even thinking about creating, and taking a rest, taking a vacation might be a solution. Or if you're not sure why you're stuck and you're struggling and you're stuck in a loop, hiring a mentor or even a therapist can be a great help. I ended up not waiting until I get into a frustrated place, and I hired my coach right away because I knew I wanted to have a good experience preparing for my shows, and I needed someone to support me in getting clarity, digging deep, facing some of those uncomfortable things that might still be inside of me. So hiring support, or just asking for support if you have someone in your life like a friend or a family member or a mentor that can help you work through some of the things you're going through, can be amazing. And I don't like to rely on anyone, so you don't need a coach, you don't need a mentor, you don't need anyone. But sometimes I think in our society, we pride ourselves in being independent and figuring things out, when in reality, things can be a lot easier when we lean on each other, invest in each other. I don't know where I would be today if it wasn't for my business coaches and my mindset coaches. So just know that you're worthy. It doesn't have to be an expensive thing. It could be a book or scheduling a therapy session. There's a lot more accessible help available right now, especially virtually. So make sure you're not neglecting yourself if there's some heavy things going on that you want to work through. And finally, if you're feeling really stuck, I do recommend going and looking at art. Like I said, I took a day today just to change my environment. I wasn't necessarily thinking that I had to see art, but being in the museum and seeing a variety of different paintings and drawings and sculptures showed me how diverse and how exciting it is to be an artist. There's room for everyone because everyone has different tastes, preferences, and what really inspires one person might not resonate at all with another, which is why it's so important for you to continue to create your beautiful work. And normally I paint in really bold, saturated colors, but for some reason today at the museum, I was really drawn to the more subtle, intricate, deep, and really strong compositions by Andrew Wyeth. And it made me realize that maybe that's something that I want to incorporate a little bit more into my palette as well. And of course, seeing other art may spark ideas or show you a pattern of something that you're drawn to. So for me, I'm trying to figure out why I'm drawn to windows and tablecloths and curtains. And seeing that repetition in Andrew Wyeth's work as well made me realize, maybe this is a symbol for something that I'm currently thinking about or processing internally. So looking at art, being around art, whether it's just getting a beautiful book, such as an art book, going down a Pinterest rabbit hole. I do like books because it's really easy to get distracted online and go down the wrong kind of rabbit hole. So sometimes getting a book out of the library, or if you have the funds to invest in one that you can come back to again and again, if it's by a favorite artist or creator, is gonna be so helpful. So I hope that this was inspiring for you. I'm feeling so good. I have my beautiful flowers. I journaled this morning, and I'm looking forward to maintaining a weekly artist date. It's something I'll admit I'm not as good at making time for myself. It's kind of like a struggle for me. I always want to serve, I always want to give, but I think this week I got to the point where I just feel empty. Like I've poured everything out into my amazing membership, which I love. It's not a bad thing, but I just felt like, okay, I need to refill my creative pool, my inspiration, and I feel so much better. I love you so much. Let me know in the comments what you do to get inspired again, to refill your creative cup, so to say, and get back into the flow. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to sharing more thoughts with you. Ciao.